Many thanks to Fellow Extraction Squad, one original DayZ servers, Clash Vanilla servers, Sergeant Purpose servers, Sea of Tools Cloud, the Struggle Community, the Karma Crew servers, and Dots for making this video possible. DayZ 1.27 has changed fishing once again, and animal traps have been giga buffed to make them a much better food source now. So in this video we're going to be looking at all the new baits that you can use inside traps, why the cooking pot from fishing is now extremely rare, and go over the best possible fishing gear for max fish gains. With the release of Sakal or 1.26, fishing changed to a trigger system where you have to time your actions with the splashes. In 1.27 though, we saw some additional changes along with tweaks to how likely it is to get a junk catch or a cooking pot. Now most of the changes from 1.26 to 1.27 were insignificant, but the change to reduce how much junk we get while fishing was massively reduced. So in the previous patch there was a 24% chance you would get wellies per catch and 6% for the cooking pot per catch. Now in 1.27 it's an 8% chance for wellies and a 2% chance for the cooking pot, so you need to pull out 50 catches to get an even chance of getting a cooking pot. Now it used to be 16. While this does mean that hungry survivors will be happy with the 90% fish chance now, the junk rate is set to 10%, so that means it's 3 times less likely to get a cooking pot or wellies, and worse still, all junk items will now be badly damaged instead of pristine when you fish them up, making fishing to get a cooking pot not really reliable now, much less likely, much less rewarding than last patch, unless you have a blowtorch to repair it, as cooking with a cooking pot does damage it consistently. Another nerf is to the craftable wooden fishing hook that we got last patch, with its health being reduced from 5.5 health to now 4 health. Because each catch you make, junk or not, removes 1.5 health from any of the hooks that you use, this means that you will get 3 catches this patch with a wooden fishing hook instead of 4 last patch, with the other hooks from 100% health, allowing you to pull in a catch this many times with each of them. The biggest change to the 3 types of animal trap, or the fishing net, bottle trap and snare trap, is that they will now take damage a hell of a lot slower. In the previous patch, and this one too, they have 50 health but would lose 15 health per successful or failed catch in the last patch. That 15 health per trigger was reduced to just 2.5 per trigger, or in other words, a 100% health trap could be used 4 times in the last patch before it becomes ruined. Now in 1.27 it can be used 20 times, a monstrous buff of 5 times the durability and therefore 5 times as much food per crafted trap. On top of this, they also made it more likely to get a catch, and the catch times were also reduced too. For the fishing net and the bottle trap, it was 15 and 25 minutes to get a catch in the last patch, anywhere between these two numbers. Now it's between 3 and 15 minutes, bringing it more in line with the snare trap, which takes this much time too. The chance of getting a catch is heavily determined by 2 factors: whether or not you're using bait and the quality level of the trap. In the last patch it was an 85% chance when using bait and 15% when not, which appears to be in line with the results that I was getting this patch too, so perhaps they haven't implemented this part about traps requiring bait now. They don't require bait, you can still catch stuff. These numbers I got are using a pristine trap, as badly damaged traps reduce your chance to catch by around 50% based on my tests, but the quantity of the catch isn't impacted by quality level at all, so you will still get a 100% chicken with a badly damaged trap. All of the traps will still take this 2.5 health damage even when they don't catch anything, and all traps will now reset after 20 minutes of being placed, so 2 pieces of high quantity, high calorie meat every 20 minutes is pretty damn good. And it also doesn't matter how close you are to the traps either. There used to be a minimum distance that you need to step away from it. Now you can be right next to it and it can catch stuff. It also doesn't matter how close traps are together or what surface type they're applied to, or if they're inside a shed, they will trigger regardless. And this patch also adds a sound to all 3 of the animal traps when you catch something. For the fishing traps, it's a splash sound and a water particle effect, as you can see here. And for the snare traps, the death sound effect of the animal you catch will play. So the chicken, the hare, and the fox death sounds, or the Aztec death whistle, can be heard when the trap triggers, which is a cool little touch, I think. These changes come with an expansion to how baits work with the snare trap, so only the snare trap has this, allowing us to catch either a chicken, hare, or a fox depending on the bait type that we're using, with meat and seeds now attaching to the snare trap, but only worms attached to the fishing trap still. So to catch a chicken you use either seeds or worms, and to catch a hare you use fruit, vegetables or seeds, and to catch a fox it's meat or worms. These bait types also have weights supplied to them to increase the chance of them catching certain animals, so you can increase your chances with chickens, for example. To catch a chicken, seeds are best. To catch a hare, fruit and vegetables are best. And to catch a fox, meat is best, not worms. If your trap fails to catch anything, you will get the bait back, but 20% of its quantity will be removed if it has a percentage quantity applied to it. This means if you're using seeds which don't have a quantity, they just have a value of 1, you won't lose any bait at all. This makes seed packets incredible in this patch because you get 10 seeds per pack, and then you can catch 10 chickens with that as you get the seed back if it fails. And because the snare trap can be used 20 times from pristine, and because chicken fillets are just as nutritious as fox steaks, it means that this is a great combo for consistent good food on the cheap and without much effort either. This also applies to catching foxes with human steaks. Instead of eating the human steak and getting yourself kuru, which is almost guaranteed, you can convert your fellow survivors into fox steaks for even more calories, as you will get more steaks from the trap. But be aware that all raw meat in DayZ does become rotten fairly quickly. Also make sure that you come back to your trap within 4 hours or your catch will despawn, with all 3 of the animal traps despawning after 8 in real life hours. While the snare trap is the lazy man's way to get food, and I certainly will be trying it out now, you just cannot beat the calories of fish in DayZ, with the carp and pollock giving 3 times as many calories as a chicken, and the mackerel and trout giving 4 times as many too. But the biggest problem with fishing is actually getting that calorie count though, as using Walmart fishing gear will give you the exact same calorie count as a chicken, minus the useful bones and feathers you get from a chicken. So unless you're using half decent to good fishing gear, the snare trap with seeds or human meat to get fox meat is a far better method to get food if you don't enjoy fishing. The only gear that matters when it comes to fishing is the rod and the hook you use, with there being 2 rods and 4 different hooks in the game, so there's 8 different combinations. For the improvised rod and 4 different hooks, here are the percentages you can expect, and this is an average based on 100 fish from each of the types. So the worst is 39% fish fillets that you're going to get, which does mean 39% of the calories, and the best is either the normal fishing hook or the jig. The normal fishing rod, or the extendable one that attaches to backpacks, now pumps these rookie numbers up by 30%, so the normal fishing rod is roughly twice as good as the improvised one, with the better hooks getting it really close to 100% quantity. However, the quality level of your rod and hook does make a difference, but not in the way that you might expect it to. With a badly damaged rod and badly damaged hook, you can still achieve these numbers, but the chance of getting a lower number does increase. For example, using a crafted rod with a bone hook from pristine will allow you to get close to 50% every single time, but using badly damaged versions increase the downside potential of the catch by around 20% of standard. This 20% potential downside risk is 10% from a hook's quality level and 10% from the rod, but both of the fishing rods in DayZ take absolutely no damage from fishing, so they can technically last forever. As for the speed differences between these 2 rods, on average over 100 catches is 50 seconds per catch for the improvised rod, and the normal fishing rod is around 40 seconds on average, but on a catch to catch basis, both of these rods can sometimes catch in 5 seconds or take longer than 100 seconds, so you probably won't notice much of a difference between these 2 rods when it comes to how quickly they can catch stuff. What does make a massive difference in speed though is whether or not you're using a worm with your fishing. If you're not using a worm, it's going to take you many times longer to catch a fish, with worm quality level not making any noticeable differences, and the depth of the water doesn't make any difference, and nor does how close you are to the water or how far away you are or how much sound is being made around you. To close this video, it appears that the DayZ devs are actively making it easier to find food with these traps, with the seed snare trap method being an incredible way to get food now. Place down one of these traps, throw a seed into it, go loot a town, and by the time you get back, you're going to have some free, easy to get food there. But developers, if you really want people to use these animal traps, make the fishing net craftable with sticks and netting, and make the snare trap craftable with rope, giving them lower catch chances based on their crude quality, because metal wire just does not want to exist when you actually want to find it, and is in high demand for tripwire traps too. Let me know your take though. Do you like these changes, and will you be using traps to get more food this patch, now that some foods are a lot more poisonous than last patch? Details here if you want to know more. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.